Good day and welcome to our watercolor journey. Today we're diving into the creation of a loose and spontaneous landscape. Our focus will be on layering pigments to build value and contrast, while also incorporating brushes and other techniques to add texture and intrigue to the composition. Throughout the painting, you'll notice a dynamic interplay of horizontal, vertical and diagonal elements. Additionally, the fence posts lean toward the right, guiding the viewer's eyes into the scene, while the trees on the right act as a visual boundary to prevent the gaze from wandering out of the picture. This is a list of the materials I used, which will also be included in the description. Let's begin. First, I determined. Using a ruler, I sketch it in, but you can also make small marks on your masking tape for a general reference point. Now it's time to wet the sky area. I leave some portions dry to create sparkles within the sky. Starting with raw sienna, I then introduce a blend of light red and French ultramarine. To add variation, I incorporate pure ultramarine along with another grey mixture. And I make smaller marks to represent clouds to enhance the aerial perspective. Below the horizon line, I use my Mottler brush to apply wet on dry techniques, layering a selection of colors from my palette to establish the land area. As I move toward the foreground, I introduce darker and warmer tones to create a greater sense of depth within the painting. While the sky remains quite wet, I begin forming the tree line, using a mix of warm and cool colors. A light sprinkling of salt repels the water, creating brighter marks within the trees. Now it's time to let the painting dry. With the first layer dry, I carefully remove any remaining salt from the surface. I'm pleased with the results. Now I add another layer of trees on top of the previous one, making sure not to obscure the entire base layer. This technique enhances depth within the painting. Using random strokes and dry brushing, I built interesting shapes and patterns. On the right hand side, I use a kitchen towel to soften certain paint edges, ensuring that no hard lines appear in that area. Now it's time for another drying phase. Once the second layer is fully dry, I move on to painting the trees in the midground on the right hand side. I apply the initial layer wet on dry using my lightest color before gradually introducing additional hues into the wet paint. This allows the colors to blend naturally on the paper. I create some marks to connect the trees to the ground. Next, I turn my attention to the old fence posts in the foreground on the left hand side. Here I deepen the values beneath the fence posts, varying the colors to create added interest. Again, I ensure that the underlying layers remain visible rather than entirely covering them. Now it's time to introduce the store card to its lighter marks and add another sprinkling of salt. Helping to depict grasses and other details within the field. The store card is also useful for making a few lighter marks within the trees. Time for another drying phase. Once the painting is dry, I remove any excess salt. After assessing the composition, I decide to darken some areas further to enhance contrast. However, if you are already satisfied with the previous layer's dark tones, there is no need to add more. Simply sign the painting and call it done. Here's the final piece. If you enjoyed the process, please like, subscribe and leave a comment to share your thoughts. See you next time.